parties, of course, meeting for the first time in court today. It was about a 90-minute hearing.
This isn't going to end well for you, Blake. Sorry.
In a world where sometimes people judge you before they give you a chance.
90 minutes. That's all it took for Justin Baldoni to score his first major courtroom victory against Blake Lively, sending her legal team into full-blown panic mode. While this wasn't the final verdict, it was a critical step in determining how this battle would unfold, and from the way things were shaping up, the outlook for Blake wasn't promising. If you haven't been following, here's the breakdown. Blake Lively hit Justin Baldoni with a jaw-dropping $250 million lawsuit, accusing him of serious misconduct. But Justin wasn't about to back down. Instead, he fired back with an even bigger $400 million countersuit, accusing Blake of extortion and defamation. Now, after months of heated exchanges, the case had finally landed in court, setting the stage for one of Hollywood's most chaotic legal showdowns in recent memory. From the moment the session began, Justin's lawyer, Brian Friedman, came in swinging, making it clear he was there for a fight. His aggressive approach left Blake's legal team visibly shaken, and honestly, who could blame them? This was the same man who had publicly vowed to sue Blake into oblivion, and judging by his approach in court, he had every intention of following through. So rattled were Blake's attorneys that they attempted to muzzle him with a gag order, hoping to keep him from making any more explosive public statements. But the judge was having none of it. With a swift ruling, he denied their request, pointing out that Blake's own lawyers had been just as vocal in the media. Silencing Friedman while allowing Blake's team to continue speaking freely would have been completely unfair, and the judge wasn't about to play favorites. That decision marked the first win of the day for Justin's side, but things were about to get even worse for Blake. Frustrated, Blake's attorneys continued to argue that Friedman's constant interviews and media presence were making it impossible for them to respond effectively. Every time they prepared a rebuttal, he was already dropping another revelation, leaving them scrambling to keep up. But once again, the judge wasn't buying it. He dismissed their complaints outright, reaffirming that Friedman had every right to discuss the case publicly. Another devastating blow for Blake. However, the real chaos erupted when her legal team realized that Justin Baldoni wasn't just fighting this battle in court. He was taking it to the internet. Blake's lawyers were furious when they discovered that Justin had launched a website entirely dedicated to the case, where he planned to upload evidence, including video footage, legal documents, and messages supporting his claims. They argued that this move was highly improper and could unfairly sway public opinion before the trial even progressed. But Friedman wasn't about to let them rewrite the rules to their advantage. He hit back hard, reminding the court that it was Blake who had taken her claims to the media first. She had gone straight to the New York Times, giving Justin only 12 hours to respond before they published their scathing report on him. He barely had a chance to defend himself before the article was live, damaging his reputation irreparably. If Blake was allowed to use the press to control the narrative, why shouldn't Justin be allowed to do the same? That argument landed with force, and the judge agreed, ruling once again in Justin's favor. But then came the biggest blow of the day. In a last-ditch effort to exert some control, Blake's lawyers requested that she be allowed to choose who would question her during her deposition, clearly hoping to avoid facing off against Friedman himself. But the judge had no interest in playing along. Without hesitation, he ruled that Blake did not have the right to pick her own interrogator. She would have to answer questions from whomever the court assigned, whether she liked it or not. By the time the hearing wrapped up, it was clear that Justin's side had gained significant ground. Every attempt by Blake's legal team to rein in Friedman had failed, and instead of slowing him down, they had only given him more opportunities to reinforce his case. The battle was far from over, but if this opening round was any indication, Blake was in for a long, uphill fight. That ruling sent a wave of panic through Blake Lively's legal team, and the frustration was impossible to hide. They knew exactly what it meant. Friedman was coming for her, and they had no way to stop him. Blake has every reason to be afraid because Brian Friedman is relentless, and he won't let her dodge a single question. For those unfamiliar with legal proceedings, a deposition is a sworn testimony, meaning every word Blake says can be used against her at trial. There are no carefully crafted PR statements, no lawyer-approved deflections, just direct questioning under oath. And from the way her legal team has been scrambling to keep her from facing Friedman, it's clear she isn't ready. Not even close. That raises a critical question. If Blake Lively is so confident in her allegations, why is she so desperate to avoid a deposition? If she was telling the truth, wouldn't she want to go on record and let the facts speak for themselves? Instead, she and her lawyers are doing everything they can to keep Friedman away from her, throwing out one excuse after another. They know that once she's in that room, there will be no more spinning, no more strategic leaks, no more distractions, just the cold, hard facts. But the judge wasn't fooled. He denied their request, yet another crushing blow to Blake's side. By the time the hearing ended, the outcome was obvious. Justin and his team had won every single argument. One ruling after another went in his favor, while Blake's legal team suffered defeat after defeat. And just when they thought it couldn't get worse, the judge confirmed that both lawsuits, Blake's $250 million claim and Justin's $400 million countersuit, were being merged into one case. That means there won't be a drawn-out legal tug-of-war. This will be one massive, explosive courtroom showdown. And the trial? It's officially scheduled for March 2026, unless they reach a settlement before then. But let's be real. Blake is in serious trouble if this actually makes it to trial. She has already lost several key legal battles before the case has even begun. If this keeps up, she could end up in a courtroom where every piece of evidence Justin has collected is laid bare. And make no mistake, this isn't just about the legal fight. It's also about the court of public opinion, and right now, her once flawless reputation is starting to crumble. Fans are divided. Some remain loyal, but others are beginning to question her motives. Meanwhile, Justin is meticulously gathering every receipt, ensuring that he has all the proof he needs to turn the tables on her. The fact that he launched a website dedicated to the case speaks volumes. He isn't just fighting back in court. He's making sure the entire world sees his side of the story. It's a brilliant strategy. Blake used the media to take him down, and now he's using the internet to fight back. At this point, Blake needs to ask herself a hard question. Is it worth continuing this battle? Or should she apologize and cut her losses before she completely destroys herself? Because if she loses, she won't just walk away with a damaged reputation. She'll be on the hook for $400 million. And that brings us to Ryan Reynolds. Where does he stand in all of this? If Blake loses, it's going to cost them both, and not just in reputation. That $400 million figure is higher than their combined net worth. If this case doesn't end in her favor, it could financially devastate them. Maybe it's time for Blake to swallow her pride, find a way to make peace, and stop before she gets completely obliterated in court. Because right now, it's looking more and more like Justin Baldoni is about to win, both in the courtroom and in the public eye. If Blake loses this case, the consequences will be catastrophic. A $400 million payout isn't just a financial setback. It's the kind of blow that could wipe out her career entirely. That's the kind of money that doesn't just hurt, it ruins. Even with Ryan Reynolds' fortune, a loss of this magnitude would leave a lasting scar, not just on their bank accounts, but on their entire public image. Hollywood may forgive scandals, but it doesn't forget financial disasters. And this kind of judgment could leave her with no viable way back into the industry. But it's not just about the money. If she loses, she's losing far more than a massive sum. She's losing credibility, influence, and any real shot at being taken seriously in the industry ever again. Hollywood thrives on drama, but it also respects power. And right now, power is shifting in Justin's favor. He's coming in with proof, winning legal battles, and controlling the narrative while Blake is scrambling to keep up. If she continues on this path, she risks becoming the cautionary tale of an A-lister who played the game too aggressively and lost everything in the process. The ripple effects of a courtroom loss wouldn't just be limited to her career either. Reputation is everything in Hollywood, and once it's gone, it's nearly impossible to rebuild. Studios won't want to work with her. Brands will quietly back away. Directors and producers, even those who once admired her, will think twice before attaching her to a project, fearing unnecessary controversy. And while there's always a possibility of a redemption arc, this isn't just some PR scandal she can joke about in an interview years down the road. If she's found guilty of defamation and extortion, it won't just be a career setback, it could become a permanent stain. Meanwhile, Justin is gaining momentum with every legal victory. He's proving he's not just fighting back, he's taking control. And Hollywood loves a winner. He's methodically dismantling Blake's claims, one by one, while positioning himself as the wronged party who was unfairly attacked. With every court ruling in his favor, it becomes harder for Blake to spin the narrative back in her direction. And this legal war is nowhere near over. There will be more courtroom drama, more unexpected twists, and likely more public meltdowns as both sides continue to battle it out. The stakes couldn't be higher, and the longer this drags on, the worse it looks for Blake. If she doesn't find a way to regain control, or at least minimize the damage, this could go down as one of the biggest Hollywood downfalls in recent memory. So stay tuned, because this is only the beginning. The tea is still brewing, and there's no telling just how messy things are about to get.